Okay, so now we are ready to start rigging our character. So, to do this, make sure your 3D cursor is in the center. If it's not, let's say it's over here somewhere, just hit Shift S and click cursor to center. Next, what we're going to do is hit Shift A, going to add armature, and we're going to go to the pitch poor human meta rig. It's kind of small to our character here, but that's okay. We'll just scale it up. So you see the faces match up about right there. Now what we have to do though is hit Control A and go to, and this is our apply menu. We want to apply the scale. Next we want it so that we can see our armature through our mesh here. So what we're going to do is go to the little stick figure that we see here, and we're going to enable X-ray. And we're also going to have to name this rig. So we're going to name this character tutorial rig. Capitalize the U by accident. Character tutorial rig. That's the name of this rig. Okay, so now we have to actually position the bones to match our character here. And so to do that, I start with the body and work my way up. So say tab and go to the edit mode, and we're going to go to our options menu over here. And under the word armature options, we're going to click X-axis mirror. So that way, now if I select this bone, everything I do on one side will happen on the other. So right now, I want to shift select these bones, move them over here. I want to move this bone down. And I have to A deselect, B to box select this whole hand here and bring it down. Oops, I didn't select the part. There we go. Bring the whole hand down. Alright, to rotate it, we're going to have to scale it up because it's kind of small compared to our actual hand. Bring this down. I have to bring this whole arm back. Bring this whole shoulder and the top of the arm back as well. Move it forward a little bit. Okay. Now we have to. These are the armpit stabilizers. These help with rigging, and so we can bring these. Whoops. Can bring these over and back, but not to the point where they affect the arm. Okay. Next, let's work on the legs. Hit B for box select, select these, move these out. A deselect, B for box select, select these again, move these out. Hit R on the Z axis to rotate it along the Z. Bring these out. And you see our boots aren't touching the ground, so we can tab into object mode, select the boots, and hit Z to go into wireframe, select the very bottom of the boots, and just move them down. Actually, I can Control R on these parts to make them look flatter. Okay. Now back to the rig. So I have to move this joint up. Now make sure it matches up with the leg properly. I have to move this foot bone back. Alright, move the toe forward. Move this part of it forward also. I'll move this back. Make sure that that bone is right underneath the heel of the character. That's very important for the foot rotation. Now these, for lack of a better term, I call these the butt stabilizer bones, because without them, we get a lot of extra weights that would make our character look sloppy. And so I just wanted to move that tip back and move that up. We moved it back a bit much, but that's okay. Okay. Actually, we can select this whole thing here, move it forward so that the spine matches the figure a little bit better. We can straighten this out. Now the neck area is messed up, so B for box select this whole thing here. Move your arrow inward. Now we can fix the position of this. Whoopsie daisy. Okay, there we go. Select those two, move them in like so. Select this head bone, move it to the very top. So now we have to work on the face part of it. So to do this, we need to be able to see where the actual face is, so we have to hide the jacket. So to select the jacket in object mode, hit H. Now, let's tab into edit mode, select this head bone, hit H, and select this other bone and hit H. Now hit B for box select, and we're going to select all these bones here. We're going to deselect that. We're going to use the blue arrow to move it down, like so. And move it back, also like so. Okay, so now all we have to do is line each bone up with each part of the face. So select this bone here, hit S to scale, scale that down, move it up. Select this bone here, this bone goes right here where this part of the chin is. This bone goes where this part of the chin is, and this bone goes right here where this part of the chin is. The lip bones go where they would go on the lips. Move that back. This part of the bone, you have to select this part and then shift and select the other part because there are two bones in there and you have to move them at the same time or else the wig won't work right. Smooth these bones down. Move this top bone down. Let's hit Z. Make sure that you move it directly on the Z axis. 3. I'll select this bone here for the nose. Hit S to scale and G to grab. Let's move it over here. Select this tip of the bone here. G to grab. Move it down. Select this and then hold shift and select another so that we select the entire bone chain here. We move this up. Select this part of the bone. We'll move that up. Select this part of the bone and move that up also. I'm going to select this part. I have to select it. I have to select both parts of the bone here. And we just move them up. Now select this part of the bone, select and hold shift. And you have to select it again because there are two bones, bone tips in there. Just hit Z to make sure you can select that. Then move this up to the eyebrow. And the same thing for these other bones. Let's hit Z. B for box select. Let's go. Select that part. Z again. G to grab. Bring it up to the eyebrow. Same thing with this bone. B for box select. I should have selected them. And move them up to the edge of the eyebrow. That's good. These bones here, we actually will not be using these bones, but just so that it looks better, just move these up. Okay. There we go. Now, you have to fit the eyes together. So, select this whole part of the eye and move this up to about right here. Then select the actual eye chain itself along with this part in the center. Let's move that to where the eye actually is. Now let's start moving each part of the eye to match our modeled eye. You have to do it in all views, of course. You have to move this up. To move this up. There's two bones in here, so I have to move these up also. To move this up. Move this up. And when we select this part, you have to move this in. Move this out also. So we can select both of these, move these back a little bit. Okay, now we have to make sure that this bone here is directly in the center of the eye. So what we need to do is tab into object mode and select the eye, tab into edit mode, hit Control L to select the entire eye. If a part of it wasn't already selected, if it wasn't, then just hit A. Then hit Shift S and cursor to select it. That'll put our 3D cursor directly in the center of the eye there. And tab out of edit mode and select our rig again, go into object mode. With this bone selected, hit Shift S and click selection to cursor. And there, that puts our bone right in the center of the eye. Now we're not done yet. We have to line up the two teeth bones and the tongue bone here. So just hit Z and select the bottom part of the tongue bone, move it down here, move this part here, move that part here, and move this upper part here. Now the teeth. Just move this teeth bone down, because usually this tooth bone is lined up properly. We can just move it in some to match the smallness of the bottom teeth. And I think next we have to move the ear bones. So just hit B for box select these bones, G to grab, move them back. 1 to go in the front view, select this bone here. Oops, there are 2 bones selected there, so hold B, go to box select both those bones and move them out. G to grab, move this in, G to grab, move this up, and then move this out. G to grab, B for box select these bones, move this out. Move this out also, and move this one back as well. And there we go. So now our rig is basically set up, and well, no, our rig is not set up. We still have to align the fingers. So we're almost done. So to align the fingers, select this thumb first. Let's move the thumb over here. Let's hit 1. Alright, so select this bone, rotate it, move it back. Select this bone, the tip, and G to grab, move that. Select this bone tip, G to grab, move that. Let's move this out. Make sure that the bone placement is correct in all views. Okay. G to grab, move that in. Okay, so that's good for that. So now we need to move the main chain of bones here for the hands. So select all of these, including the hand bone itself, and move it back, or to rotate it. And then we can deselect the hand bone and hit XY to scale on the Y axis, so that each bone chain will match up with each finger. Now we can do the fingers individually. So select, these are 2 bones also. Select both of those, G to grab, move that forward. Again, B for box select both of those, G to grab, move this forward. A to deselect, B to box select these. G to grab, move it forward, left click. A to deselect, B to box select, left click and drag. G to grab, move this forward. So now we've matched these up with the knuckles. Now we have to match these basically with the bends in the finger. So select the tip and the entire bone of that and move this down. And we can move this back. And then we can move this bone back and move this tip forward and move this whole thing up there so that it matches with the finger. Just rotate this, G to grab, move it down. And then we can move this back, and we can move both of these back also. Or to rotate it. Okay, so we're done with the index finger. So what I like to do is basically select all the bones affiliated with it and hide them so that I can focus on these other bones. So select all of these here, and then select the tips of these bones here, and we just move these inward. So they're still aligned with the knuckles. So now just move these bones into place. So they can be moved up more. Means this bone can be moved to right there. This bone moved to right there. Move this back. We select the tip and select the bone. Or to rotate it, move it back like so. Select these two bones and do a rotation called, we're messing with the bone roll, so you control R and that'll make those straight. So let's continue. So just select this and select the tip of this actually and move it down again. And we'll worry about the pinky last, because we're not quite finished with these. You have to move this down so that it matches. And then select these bones that are affiliated with it and hide them. Select the tip. I guess we can see. Select the tip of that bone too. And get G to grab and move that down. And now you can just align it with that part of the finger. So there we go. So the hands are almost completely lined up. Now we just have to hide these and work on the pinky here. So we want to G to grab, move this to that crease, G to grab, move this to the tip, G to grab, move this to this crease. It's a little zigzaggy, but it's okay. Select both of these, G to grab, move these, G to grab, move these, G to grab, move these, and G to grab, move these. We can fix this, moving it down. Okay. Okay, so I think we're good, and then hit Alt H to unhide all the bones that we hid in edit mode. So now we're back in object mode, and now we're ready to actually generate what will be our rig. So what we do is go to where the little stick figure is, if you're not already there, and it says Rigify buttons. There should be a button that says generate. What you want to do is make sure your rig is selected, and then click generate. It'll take a second. And there is the actual rig that we will be using. So, what you need to do now is select the rig that we previously worked on and hit M. We're going to move it to the back layer here. And so now we're going to select this rig and turn on X-ray. You can see all the buttons or all the bones associated with this rig. This may seem overwhelming, but it's not that bad once we clean it up. So hit N to go on the N panel, and we have several rig layers here. We have the face, we have face primary, face secondary, we have the torso, we have the torso tweak, we have the fingers, we have the arm IK and FK bones, we have the arm tweak bones, and we have the leg FK and IK bones, and we also have a root bone. What we need to do, we don't need all of these layers on, so we can turn off a few layers. The first layer I want to turn off are the arm FK bones and tweak bones. Do the same thing with the legs. Now we need all the bones for the face enabled for our weight painting, which we would do in the next tutorial. So for now, we're just going to hit Control Tab, and now this is in pose mode. But you see, our rig does not affect our character. So we will parent our rig to our character in the next tutorial.